Today we're going to learn about the idea of fractions as multiples of unit fractions. Let's start by reviewing some key terms. So what is a unit fraction? A unit fraction is a fraction that has 1 in the numerator and any whole number in the denominator. For example, 1/4, 1/3, 1/2, and so on. So what is a multiple? A multiple is a result of skip counting by a certain amount. For instance, the multiples of 3 would be 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on. It could also be thought of as the result of multiplying a number by a counting number, like 3 times 2 is 6. Let's look at an example problem. Jen is making smoothies. Each smoothie needs 1/3 a cup of milk. How much milk will she need for 2 smoothies? So I know if I'm going to solve this using addition, I would do 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. So on a number line, it would look like 2 halves of 1/3. So plus 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. If we wanted to write that as a multiplication equation, we could say 2 times 1/3 equals 2/3. This number line looks a lot like the number line we got when we were looking at the multiples of 3. And that's because we're skip counting by a certain amount. In this case, we're skip counting by 1/3. And we know skip counting gives us multiples. So 2 halves of 1/3 gave us 2/3. So 2/3 is a multiple of 1/3. Let's look at some more multiples of 1/3. So the first multiple of 1/3 would be the first whole number times 1/3. So 1 times 1/3 is 1/3. We already said the second multiple of 1/3 is 2/3. The third multiple of 1/3 would be 3 times 1/3 is 1, or 3/3. This pattern continues on. So for instance, the seventh multiple of 1/3 would be 7 times 1/3 is 7/3. I can count by my multiples: 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, and so on. Another problem. This time Jen is making 6 smoothies instead of 2. So I know I need 6 groups of 1/3. So with fraction pieces, it would look like this. The addition equation would be 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. This equals 6/3, which from my picture I can see is the same as 2 wholes. If I was going to write this as multiplication, I would say 6 times 1/3 because I have 6 groups of 1/3. And it would still equal 6/3 or 2. So I know that 6/3 is the 6th multiple of 1/3. There's a rule that summarizes this. It says A over B equals A times 1 over B, where A and B are whole numbers. So for instance, if A was 2 and B was 3, I would say 2/3 equals 2 times 1/3. And this works for any whole numbers.